This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. We know less about the Yankees offseason plans every time we log on to the podcast. It's been a November of Whiplash. They haven't even really done anything yet. They've re-signed Ryan Yarbrough and Tim Hill and Trent Grisham. But we've already gone through why they're not going to offer the qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. That was one podcast. Then we did, oh my gosh, they did offer the qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. What does that mean? Then we did, reports are that he's going to decline it. Great move by Brian Cashman. He must have read the market properly. And now we're doing, oh my God, he accepted it. You have to accept the possibility that a player is going to accept the qualifying offer if you give it to him. The one thing I don't buy is that, like, the Yankees were blindsided by this. And they were like, oh, shit. Oh, no. No takebacks. Oh, no. Like, I think they probably expected Trent Grisham to leave. I think. But they weren't completely unprepared for the possibility that he would return. We thought maybe they knew more than us, though, and it seems like they didn't. And now the question is, not does it hold you back from some business, but how much business does it hold you back from? Because it's going to hold you back from doing something. We know the Yankees do not have an endless budgetary reservoir. So we'll talk about the reasons why I think it's perfectly okay if you want to freak. It's not doomerism if you want to freak out a little bit, because obviously we don't know how the offseason plays out, but there are some people who just did not want Trent Grisham back on this roster. And we're happy to say goodbye after one great year and one year where he was buried on the depth chart below Alex Verdugo. And those people have every right to freak out because he's coming back. So if you were done, you wanted to see Trent cash in elsewhere, you wanted to see it end on a high note, and the playoff stuff gave you pause and uncertainty, those people have every right to freak out because he's coming back. He's coming back at a high cost. Well, the Yankees are the Yankees. They get $22 million one-year deal. I mean, they can absorb that. They can do a lot of things. They could have added other major league talent the year they signed Garrett Cole in the offseason, but they didn't. They only signed Garrett Cole and Brett Gardner. They can do a lot. They have been able to do a lot of things for a decade, but they don't. So we don't know how this turns out. And we know a lot of people are like, you're complaining about bringing back a 34 home run center fielder. You guys are the problem. Yeah, we're the issue. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. Lots to break down, of course, but really all centered around one topic, because this one throws a major wrench in the whole thing. We can only believe what we're fed, and so far we're being fed a lot of strange things in the wake of the Trent Grisham decision.
I am eating baseball news, and it tastes, I don't know. I'm unsure. It's that it's the kombucha lady meme where it's like, don't know. Mm-hmm. I am not mad about Trent Grisham taking the qualifying offer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good player. It's an obvious overpay. This is going to essentially match his career earnings. There's no debate that it's an overpay. The qualifying offer inherently is an overpay for short-term flexibility. So it is what it is. The Yankees attempting to bring back good players, I think, is good business. Nice job. Now, the good business aspect of it takes a little bit of a hit when you are wondering if Trent Grisham is going to come even close to replicating those numbers, which would match the value of a $22 million contract. So that's a question you're asking yourself. Okay, he was largely not great for most of his career, though he had flashes of power, and he is a very good defender. But the heights that he reached last year, they've never been reached before. And to roll the dice on that happening twice in a row, I would say that's a significant gamble. But I'm not against it because, again, he was a good player. He was a good fit. It really all just came crashing down when he disappeared in the postseason. And as frustrated we got with that, not really fair to judge him on that sample size. It was very small. It was his first postseason in the Bronx. The way that the Yankees construct this roster, again, is the problem. They bring in guys on one-year deals or short-term packs, and then they don't have enough runway to establish themselves or, get over the hump of a bad first year or a tough postseason or a bad first 2 months. Saw it with Devin Williams, bad first month and a half. Kind of ruined everything, didn't it? So that's why I think, number one, some people are concerned about him picking up the qualifying offer when it was reported by multiple people that the Yankees didn't expect him to pick it up. Secondly is, again, the fact that nobody is mad that they are bringing back a guy who hit 34 home runs.
Yeah.
People are mad, again, that the potential overpay and the potential missed chess move here is now going to limit spending elsewhere. Depending where you look, I look at a couple places. Seems like the consensus was that the Yankees had a $238 million payroll going into this offseason with all the departures and with all the projected arbitration salaries. Trent Grisham's salary now brings it up to $260. The Steve CoHen tax threshold is $304, between $304 and $306. So that theoretically gives the Yankees, if they're going by this mandate, gives the Yankees $45 million to build an entirely new bullpen, to bring back Cody Bellinger plus another bat, to bring in another starting pitcher, to kind of rehabilitate the bench in some capacity. So unless they want to blow by that, unless they want to be a behemoth, unless they want to go into the Dodgers-Mets realm, which they've proven they're not willing to do over the last 6 years, then yeah, it's a problem. It's an obvious problem. They could do it. They could do it. History shows they have no interest in doing it and they don't care. So that's why people are mad. It's very simple. And if you cover the team and you know everything that's gone on with this current era of baseball, especially since Aaron Judge debuted, when they cut payroll after trading for Giancarlo Stanton, when they, like you said, didn't sign a single other major league talent after adding Garrett Cole, like, yeah, rightfully people are mad. And if the Yankees were so confident that Trent Grisham was going to decline it and they were going to get this 4th round pick, and then he went back around and said, oh, you know what? This is actually a great deal for me. I'm going to accept it. And they made that misstep to put them in this position. Unforgivable. Again, I don't entirely think that happened. A little part of me says I think they're going to go for it and they're going to spend, and then they can reset the tax potentially next year by going below if Grisham comes off the books and they have these other contracts that are coming off the books within the next couple of years. So it's certainly possible, but like, to not understand the initial outrage is a little bit ignorant to me based on their behavior. Secondly, I think this puts them in a box in terms of, quote, running it back.
That's why I'm upset. I'm not angry Trent Grisham is on the roster. I'm upset because of the box.
The box is this. The consensus is that everybody wants Cody Bellinger back. Most Yankee fans want Cody Bellinger back. The front office probably wants Cody Bellinger back. I am sure the roster, guys on the team, want Cody Bellinger back. So, and this is no slight to Trent Grisham. It's no slight to the guys on the roster, because I think we have a lot of good players, and they did have an exceptional season top to bottom this year, and the playoffs changed that entire perspective. Not fair, but that's life in this sport. It's life in New York. But if you run it back with Trent Grisham and Cody Bellinger, and your spending gets limited and capped at that point, yeah, you get Garrett Cole back. That's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. That's going to be good for 2026. But it's partially a rehabilitation year, so you're running into issues like that. The offense is, with running it back, is really that means the Yankees are relying on Ben Rice to have kind of an otherworldly year. They're relying on Austin Wells to rebound. They are relying on Ryan McMahon to maybe not strike out as much as he did. They are, I don't know what they're doing at shortstop. That's an entirely different problem that we could discuss at the end of the podcast too, with some interesting rumors popping up. Mm-hmm. They are maybe banking on another 30 season from Jazz Chisholm. They are banking on Jasson Dominguez taking a massive leap. So like, that's a lot of what ifs and not very many concrete answers. The concrete answers you have are Aaron Judge, Max Fried, think Carlos Rodon is less of a coin flip than he's ever been, but I think the volatility still exists. I love Cam Schlittler. I don't think there's any way in the world you can predict Cam Schlittler to do what he did in 14 starts across 32 next year. I think he has an incredibly bright future, but that is wishful thinking based on what we see year over year with players. It's a hard thing to predict, and it's a hard thing to predict for a guy who has barely Major League Baseball experience. If those are the pieces of the puzzle that the Yankees are saying, hey, if these work out and we bring these guys back and like maybe the playoffs. I saw a tweet and someone was like, well, you could live with the possibility of the Yankees running it back with a very good roster. Again, a 94 win roster, same amount of wins with Juan Soto on the team in 2024 and getting hot in the postseason. And I would rebut and say that they have never gotten hot in the postseason since 2018. And even in 2017, they weren't hot because their offense was really bad after the DS. And it even was bad in the DS until they exploded for 2 of those games. So that's another scenario where you're like, why would I think that that's going to happen? Because it never does happen, and it hasn't happened in 10 years. So now we're just going to, year 11. Don't worry, folks, it'll happen. No, this is part of the problem. It's not having those sure things in the lineup in terms of, postseason experience and pedigree, balance, depth, and all that. Less and just overall fewer question marks. And the Yankees year by year go into the year with a lot of question marks. And their bets don't pay off at a rate that would send them to the upper echelon or the next level. So that's the problem in a nutshell. But hey, Trent Grisham, congratulations on the cash, man. That's a lot of money. We've enjoyed your time here. Another year on the books. Looking forward to it. Need the team to just do something else interesting. And then I think this can all go away.
Yeah, the metrics would indicate that Trent Grisham, who reworked his swing and made it shorter and quicker to take advantage of the porch and to take advantage of, honestly, any ballpark, because it did a lot of great damage on the road, they would indicate that he is poised to, if not repeat last year. I don't think anyone's going to forecast him to run it back, but I think I would forecast him to be valuable next year. And he is only here for 1 year, and he's not going to be here beyond 2026. You can't put a qualifying offer on him again. The Yankees made it very obvious when they offered him the QO that they were not going to negotiate trying to bring him back on a 5-year, right? This will be his final year in pinstripes. So in a vacuum, there is nothing wrong with bringing Trent Grisham back. And I can't claim right now, I know he's not a playoff riser because of one bad postseason series. 2, technically, the Red Sox shortened postseason series, but they won that, so we'll overlook it. I mean, he was bad against the Jays. All of the Yankees got decimated by Jays lefties. Everybody got decimated by Trey Savage. He was not the only problem. I don't enjoy when people keep throwing out offensive stats from last year as if they're unimpeachable, because when you have a postseason where offense is that hard to come by, it just makes it clearer and clearer that a lot of the regular season stats were built on punishing low tier pitching and racking up tons of runs. And look at how many of the runs scored ultimately came from the craziest outlier series of the year against the Milwaukee Brewers to start the season. Like, how many of their league leading runs scored were set in that series? 36, 38, just an absurd number of runs were scored in a series that at the end of the season, you look back on that and go, that was completely irrelevant to the ultimate outcome of the year. But Aaron Judge did say he wanted to explore running it back with Grisham and Bellinger. That's the reason why you're hearing rumors that they're not out on Bellinger, and that, in fact, Mark Feinsand said they're the clear favorite for Bellinger. So from this point forward, I do think it's reasonable to expect that Cody Bellinger is in left field and Trent Grisham is in center field for 1 more year before clearing a path for 2027. And Aaron Judge is almost definitely playing the majority of this season in right field as long as he's healthy. And that's my problem. The box, right? Not that outfield isn't worth coming to play with. That's your opening day outfield. There's some quality there. But
very good outfield.
Very good outfield. But there now, if you do sign Bellinger, there's long-term certainty at 2 positions in Judge and Belly. no long-term certainty at center field, but you have enough firepower in the outfield right now that you are blocking Jasson Domínguez from reps. You are blocking Spencer Jones from reps, which in my opinion is less egregious because we don't know what Spencer Jones is. It was a hot month, a really hot month, but I've seen some discourse like why the Yankees are ridiculously foolish for not selling high on Spencer Jones during that 1 month heater. You ever think that maybe other teams, it takes two to tango in trade. You think that maybe other teams looked at Spencer Jones and realized this is a 1 month heater and we're not going to buy high on this? Like, you can't trade if another team doesn't want to pay fair value for the player. I'm not giving the Yankees front office that much grace. I'll give them grace on that one. Because why are they the only party to blame for Spencer Jones not being traded during his absurd value inflating hot streak? You got to imagine that other teams weren't fooled either. And guess what? He didn't get dealt. Now he's on the Yankees. He needs more time at AAA. I think it's a little less egregious to block him. If you bring back those three, you are locking out Jasson Domínguez, and you are doing so with center field unsettled for 2027 and beyond because Grisham is here for 1 year. So you really want to learn as much as you can about Jasson Domínguez this year. You want to learn whether or not he is the guy that you can rely on in 2027. And it would be a shame to have him as a fourth outfielder for another year. But Stanton's getting hurt. He'd probably play a good deal of DH if you kept him. Maybe you'll eventually figure out a workable rotation to get him in there more often. But honestly, it does feel like you are taking away yet another development year from someone, and people are going to clown on him for being an old prospect. He's not even 23 yet. He's still plenty young. This would be if you bring back those three and you have one area of the outfield that is not locked down long-term, it would be very unfortunate to not be able to learn more about Jasson Domínguez this year. You are taking a year of development off of his plate, essentially. And then let's say you don't bring back Bellinger and you're bringing back Grisham and you're starting Domínguez in left field. There's still another position unsettled and for 2027 and beyond. And then at the tail end of Aaron Judge's prime, your goal then, let's say Domínguez, he'd better show out in that situation. Because if he doesn't, then you've got Judge, nothing. And Domínguez and Jones have free paths to roster spots. But the Yankees are like the Dodgers. They are not going to hand rookies roster spots. Putting Spencer Jones opening day next year, high pressure situation next to Jasson. Like Jasson Domínguez, if he gets full run as a left fielder this year, he'd better hit 30 plus homers. Otherwise, he's gone. He better show defensive improvement. Otherwise, he's gone, right? You cannot go into 2027 with young player with question marks, Aaron Judge. And that's that. That's that. I mean, it's just like it's deeply confusing. It's going to be really hard for the Yankees to learn what they need to learn, no matter what collection of talent they throw out there. And then beyond that, I mean, are we sure Bellinger is the guy that you want to pay 6-7 year deal to as the numbers build up? The Yankees are the clear favorite for him. I guess the Mets are involved. I guess the Blue Jays are involved. They want a lefty complement of Vlad Jr. come the latest rumors. I'll just say this. There was a tweet that really made my eyebrow go up. That was basically like, hey, think about it in a vacuum. Would you rather have Cody Bellinger and Ryan McMahon or Jasson Domínguez and Alex Bregman? I would rather have the second two. It's hard. You'd have to trade 2 years of Ryan McMahon's money. Bellinger wants to come back and Judge wants him back. And you'd have to say no to that. You'd have to give out a similar length contract with Bellinger to Bregman, who will also regress and who, like we talked about last year, is not a great fit for Yankee Stadium. But yeah, in a vacuum, I'll take 23-year-old Jasson Domínguez's upside and Alex Bregman's sturdy leadership and 275, 20 homers. I'll take those two. It's steady defense. That's what I'd want. That's not possible if you bring Bellinger back. But I'm not sure it's possible regardless. So that's why we are where we are. And that's why we're already forecasting, okay, great. I think we're going to bring Bellinger back. I think it's going to be the same outfield as last year. I think two of our top prospects are now stuck in a hole. And I think as much as we want to wish cast, as much as we're looking at Devin Williams contract talks and saying, okay, if they're doing that, then maybe their payroll is going to be $340 million. Like maybe 300 is not just a line in the sand. It's not a line at all. But it really is hard to imagine based on the Garrett Cole offseason, based on many offseasons where they've said we're going full throttle. Actually, we're bringing back Aaron Judge, bringing in Carlos Rodon, and that's it. It's hard to imagine them going further than those two. That's why people are upset. The developmental box and the payroll constraints.
That tweet, that's certainly an interesting tweet. If they want to have Jasson Dominguez just bat lefty, I'm on board. If I see him on the right side of the plate, there's no feasible way that can be an option. I also don't know how you trade Ryan McMahon.
I don't think you do.
I just don't think there would be interest, right? Like there can't be a whole lot of interest for a defense first third baseman signed at a $16 million AAV. What is interesting, however, is Ryan McMahon doesn't have a lot of experience, but he has some experience at first base. So is there a world where you sign Belly+McMahon and you use the DH spot as you do? Giancarlo Stanton mostly lives there, but you can get flexible and cycle in Bregman, cycle in Judge, cycle in Ben Rice, have McMahon be the backup third baseman, first baseman, coming off the bench, playing in 135 games for $16 million. Is that crazy? I don't know. I've never seen Ryan McMahon play first base. I'm not advocating for it. I don't know if they know that he's willing and able and capable of doing it. Obviously
he's a pro.
Able.
Yeah. He's a pro. I liked watching him last year. I'm not like fervently anti Ryan McMahon. The bat couldn't get much worse than it was last year too. I don't think you see a full season of Ryan McMahon and go, how does he have 8 homers? He's going to hit 23.
Yeah.
He's going to play great defense. He's probably going to bat 224. Like, that just depends on if that's the kind of guy you love. Like, he could be Scott Brosius in the right setting. He's got to bat 8th. And he hit a big home run in a playoff game that the Yankees ended up
at 300 in the postseason.
Yeah. Like, I'm fine with Ryan McMahon, but if you can somehow find a taker and you can get Belly+McMahon in the building, you get Belly+McMahon in the building.
Yeah, I'm not really opposed to it, and that would make things different because, like we've been talking about, the Yankees overnight got 2 left-handed heavy. Overnight. They had no lefties, and then all of a sudden they were like, wow, we have too many lefties. So bringing Bellinger back, again, a move that I would like because I love the flexibility there. Everybody arguing over, who's the better fit, Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger? Well, it's obviously Kyle Tucker because he's the better player. It's like, no, because the Yankees then the Yankees would be displacing their best player. So that argument is now out the window. If we in a vacuum left fielder right now, and it was Kyle Tucker was a left fielder and Cody Bellinger was a left fielder, and Cody Bellinger didn't play first base or center field, then the answer would be Kyle Tucker. But we have a different circumstance here. The Yankees have too many redundant players, and they're in a situation where the best position player on the market plays the same position as the reigning MVP, arguably one of the top 5 or 3 Yankee of all time when all is said and done. So there's a different conversation to be had about Cody Bellinger versus Kyle Tucker. And if you look at the numbers for the career, not a whole lot different. Really not a whole lot different. The positional flexibility that Bellinger does bring helps the Yankees more than what Kyle Tucker brings. And if you want to talk about limiting or not like going Steve Cohen and paying $70 million in tax, Cody Bellinger is going to be half the price, and he's a year older. So there's just an argument to be had there outside of just saying, Kyle Tucker's better, so he's the fit. It's like, no, there's a lot of problems here. For Bregman coming in and Bellinger leaving in this hypothetical scenario, that gives the Yankees another right-handed bat. It limits their defensive flexibility, but at the same time, you would think that they would be able to make it work with all the other personnel that they have. The biggest concern, obviously, is Jasson Dominguez playing left field because Trent Grisham is back. He's playing center. That's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. So is Jasson Dominguez going to take the defensive leap? Are they confident of that? I don't know. is Ryan McMahon, one, tradable, or two, able to be that utility? He also has 244 games at second base for his career, which I did not know. And his fielding percentages are better at second and first than they are at third, which is crazy to think about because I thought his third base defense was phenomenal. And again, I would pay $16 million for that. I think elite third base defense it's not all about offense, everybody. It's defense is very important, as we've learned the last few years. So do the Yankees think Ryan McMahon can do that, jump across the diamond when he's called upon, and they can get enough reps in there for everybody? It's just tough. And then who you bringing back to fill out your bench? Is it going to be is Ahmed Rosario going to come back?
Yes,
is Spencer Jones going to be on the opening day? It's just, there's a lot of questions. And again, it comes down to the lack of stability on this roster. The Yankees have an incredibly top-heavy payroll with the same guys who have been here for largely the last 5 or 6 years. And then it's a revolving door. So many people are leaving every year that they can't maintain continuity. Now, understand that that's a hard thing to do, right? It's not easy, but the Yankees, again, have the means to do it, or at least limit the amount of volatility there, and they don't. So that's the frustrating part, where fans are talking about, fans are hyper fixated on the $22 million for Trent Grisham for that reason. Fans are hyper fixated on, we got to get the best player in the door because we're not good enough for that exact reason. We're not good enough because the continuity lacks. Not good enough because there's not enough of a cohesive core that goes to the postseason every year and takes care of business. There's something wrong with other parts of the processes, as we've talked about. So the fact that this much is up in the air for a team that's supposed to be as good as the Yankees are, look at the Mets. I have nothing against Steve Cohen. I think Steve Cohen's a great owner. I'm going to say that right now.
Theoretically,
he is vocal. He listens to the fans. He spends money. He throws caution to the wind. He views the team as an opportunity rather than an asset. Not every owner can do that. I understand that, but do you want the Mets offseason right now? Why do the Yankees and Mets, the arguably two of the more prestigious franchises in the league, or at least in recent, the Mets have leapfrogged to relevance over the last 5 or 6 years. Why is the Mets coaching staff getting gutted? Why are we talking about 7 trade candidates for the Mets this year? Why do the Yankees have a ton of roster turnover and no concrete answer, not even close to a concrete answer, because of everything that's transpired since the end of the season? It's just bewildering to me. And then you have teams like, the Dodgers, who are the Dodgers, and they do what they do. And even a team like the Phillies, who have they remained extremely, I know there's been disappointment there, but that's a team that's not afraid to spend. They have good cohesion. And they're even the Astros, I know that they do what they have done over the years finally kind of caught up with them this year, but they could be right back in the mix next year. You don't know what it's going to look like. The Mariners are already shooting from the hip. The Tigers are not the greatest team, I would say, but the last 2.5 years, they've kind of really proven that they're not going anywhere. And if they're able to keep Tarek Skubal and keep adding, they're going to get in the Yankees' way. I firmly believe if the Yankees faced the Tigers in the DS, they would have lost that as well. Just overmatched in a variety of ways that didn't line up with it's a matchup nightmare for the Yankees, in my opinion. So for the Yankees and Mets to be the most chaotic this offseason, with all the assets they have at their disposal, all of the resources they have at their disposal, that's where the frustration comes from. And then again, you look at the Dodgers and you're like, one of these two teams should be the Dodgers, and they're so far away from it. It's crazy. So what's next for Cody Bellinger? I don't know. Do I think he's going to the highest bidder? It's quite possible. I see the chat talking about that earlier. He's a Boris client. You can't rule it out. I think he liked being with the Yankees. I think if the money's close, he'll stay with the Yankees. But guess what? I said that about Juan Soto last year, and it was a difference of $5 million guaranteed dollars and then $45 million of floating money. And if that's gonna sway you in terms of going from a team that you really enjoyed being with and had high hopes for and is the most historic franchise in the league to just going to a more family-oriented environment and a couple extra bucks, then I can't predict because I'm not in anybody's head. But Cody Bellinger, at this point, the market is growing. I think teams are valuing the flexibility and his approach at the plate and his overall experience, and the fact that like he's had these crazy highs and lows in his career and he's only persevered. Still on. He's turning 30 or he's turning 29. So the age is still there for him if they can get, a 5-6 year deal done. And if the Yankees get priced out there, it's just, it's hard for, I think really the main point here is that it's hard for the Yankees to justify going top of market for Cody Bellinger and competing with all these other teams and then figuring out their next steps after that.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the comment section, of course, except for the weird comment about how the Yankees need to cut bait with Giancarlo Stanton. Enough is enough with this guy. Is that a comment from 2023? Like, are we... Anyway, we're close to we only got 2 more years left to stand. And yeah, it's not my favorite that he's a perma DH and stops you from doing what you're going to do. And flexibility wise, you could certainly do much better. But the Yankees he is their secondary thumper. And last year he had a 158 OPS plus. He also got every big hit in the 2024 playoff run. Not Juan Soto. Soto walked off into the World Series, but every other big hit was delivered by Stanton, essentially. So, there's an argument to be made that when his Yankees career ends, it will not be like an irreplaceable loss. I think we'll all send him off, with a wave and a smile. But at this point, I definitely don't want to. I'm not sacrificing any offense, given how little they have. That I can certainly, when we're talking about players like Ryan McMahon and like glove first dudes, I'm going to need as many guys who can hit 45 home runs in a full season as I can get. And I have one. Nobody cares about 2024. The comments say, dude, he was better last year than in 2024. What do you do in the 2025 playoffs? Yeah, okay, great. Let's ditch Giancarlo Stanton because of a bad 4 games. That take, I can't get on board with that take. Excuses are weak. What are the excuses?
Judge,
what are the excuses? He was our second best player last year. Excuses are weak. Where are the excuses? He was our second best player last year. Get better players, but don't get rid of him.
Yeah, what's the excuse for Judge not performing in the playoffs for 8 years?
Yeah, get rid of Aaron Judge.
Look, I understand. I don't. Yeah, he can't run. I agree with that. He is baked into the DH spot. It limits what the Yankees can do.
It's somewhat frustrating, to have that lack of flexibility. But
we don't need him to play a full season.
I haven't seen this take in a long time. I have not seen this take in a long time.
Yeah, it's also like, again, that discussion about Giancarlo Stanton ended 4 years ago because we know that they're not getting rid of him. We know that he has a no trade clause and he's going to control where he would go next. And they value his postseason contributions, and his postseason numbers since he's joined the Yankees are better than anybody's. So that's a hard thing to part with. Would I be against it? No. If it's going to improve the team and help the flexibility, you just have to make the right moves after that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we're going to get rid of Stanton and then you're going to trust them to make all the right moves after that? Okay.
Who's coming in? Yeah. Who's coming in?
Great.
Like we know what Stanton is, right? Odds are low that he's going to play a full season ever again. You're going to get him for 80, 90, 100 great games, and you're going to hope he goes on a playoff heater like he did in 2024. Apparently, we can't care about 2024's playoff run, but we can care about 2025's playoff run, which came after a much better season for Stanton than the one he put up in 2024. You're going to take what you can get from Stanton. You're not going to, if you trade him, you're not going to be able to clear that salary. You say nobody wants him. Nobody wants to pay that money.
Yeah, you're going to eat half of that money.
If you get rid of him, you're not clearing salary that you can use on somebody else. You are eating money to get rid of your second best power hitter. So believe me, when Stanton is gone someday and the Yankees are able to free up that DH spot,
they can already free it up. He only plays in 90 games a year. It's freed up for 70 games.
Also valid. Like someday the flexibility, that'll be a silver lining of the unfortunate reality that Stanton's gone. But I think way too much Stanton disrespect. We've been guilty of it ourselves too, but he opened our. I thought he was done as a viable major league power hitter in the middle of the summer of 2024, and he went on a playoff run for the ages. And then I thought he was never coming back last year when he had double elbow injuries, and he came back and hit 273 with 24 homers and 249 at bats. He was incredible. So again, I welcome Stanton back, and this problem always takes care of itself. You don't want to see more Stanton next year? Okay, well, I have news for you. He's going to get hurt at some point. You'll get your wish. But they'll be paying him. They'll be paying him regardless, whether they trade him, whether they keep him.
Yeah.
The chat also bring up the idea of Luis Arraez. Interesting, but the OPS plus numbers for Arraez are basically what McMahon's are. Those are two league average hitters, except one of them is a league average hitter who hits 20 home runs a year, and one of them is a league average hitter who hits 6 home runs a year and has to hit 330 or higher to be as valuable as the people who love him think he actually is. Now, I love the change in profile that Luis Arraez brings. I love the contact forward profile, but the defense is dreck. He is a guy who really is going to have to play some major DH for you. And I would rather have Stanton in that role operationally.
Where do you put Arraez? You're saying first base for Arraez?
Well, I think the comments probably go together. Either he plays first base or he's not going, or you get rid of Stanton to bring in Arraez, which I think is what this commenter wants. And for me, that's a no-go. I agree. Contact is an essential element. We need variance in this lineup. But getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton to bring in a contact hitter who doesn't hit all that much is not for me.
Yeah, you can't. You simply can't. The contact hitter needs to be playing defense. The power hitter is for DH. Man, maybe that's an outdated approach by me, but if the DH spot needs to create runs, not simply just get on base.
My 300 hitter needs speed. My 300 hitter needs defensive versatility. A league average hitter who bats well over 300, that shows how poor all of his other skills are. Any 300 hitter should be a way above league average hitter, but he's not because he doesn't have the complete package. So I welcome the comment. I would say talk to some Padres fans if you want to know how they feel about the Luis Arraez experience. That taught me a lot about what it's like to root for him on a daily basis. Watching them go through it last year and watching them. I've got Padres fans, the Baseball Insiders Discord praying that they don't reunite with Arraez. So look, maybe Yankee fans need to learn that harsh lesson, but I don't think that's worth it.
Yeah, always remember with this, the rosier picture is the stuff you're seeing from afar and not immersed in. So the Giancarlo Stanton argument is perfect. I'm sure that when he was on his torrid playoff runs, other fan bases were envious. And part of that is valid, but they didn't watch him for 100 games, and they didn't watch him when he would slump for 2.5 weeks and be an irrelevant hitter from your perspective. So that would be it's always different when you're not watching a player for a full slate of games. And I know for a fact that if you're a Yankees fan, you don't have the time to watch 100 Padres games because you got to watch the Yankees, and then you got to go to bed because sleeping is important. So
I would rather have Rhys Hoskins over Arraez too, as the comment section is saying. I agree with that. Here's the thing with Arraez. Again, he hit 292 in San Diego last year. Do you know how bad the rest of your offensive game has to be to weigh down that value? He doesn't walk. He never gets on base outside of the times he hits.
Yeah.
So he hit 292 last year with a 327 OBP. 327 is a horrendous OBP.
I'm fine with that though, because I like the contact. But if let's say Luis Arraez was an above average first baseman, I would still be fine with that.
Yeah. Ryan McMahon had a 312 OBP last year, by the way. Ryan McMahon and Luis Arraez are very similar offensive players. Yeah.
How about this though? What if Jasson Domínguez just hit 300?
What if Jasson Domínguez was awesome? That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Kind of don't know again what we're looking at with him. Like what do you do here if they bring back Bellinger, or they sign Kyle Tucker? For everybody out there who wants that, then what do you do with Jasson Domínguez and Spencer Jones? You're gonna have 2 fourth outfielders at that point. Or at least one. No, you'll have 2 for 2026. And you'll need to get Spencer Jones off on the right developmental foot, but you'll also need to get Jasson Domínguez enough reps to prove that he's able to handle it. So another Twitter discussion that I saw, which was interesting, was that there's a group of Yankee fans, or I think a sect of Yankee fans who believe that Jasson Domínguez did not get enough run last year to prove his worth. And I think there's a very easy rebuttal there, and it's that he did, and he didn't prove it.
Yeah.
Because he was bad defensively, and he couldn't hit left-handed pitching, and he couldn't bat on the right side of the plate. So at that point, and look, the Yankees process, I don't agree with the Yankees processes, because the same logic would be, okay, so then why did Alex Verdugo play as much as he did in 2024 when he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, and when his defense wasn't as impressive at certain points in the season that we had believed? That should have lost him playing time to Trent Grisham, for example. It didn't. For Domínguez, I think he had a chance to prove himself, and he didn't run away with that opportunity for whatever reason. I think that it was, look, he had a league average OPS, which I think is good for a young player. He clearly has the tools, like with his speed, his base running, his ability to hit for contact and power. He has no defensive tools. I don't know where that came from in the minor leagues. I don't know what scouts were looking at him. He has no arm. He has terrible jumps on the ball, takes terrible angles to the ball. So that removes, half of his abilities. And again, maybe it's the center field issue. Maybe he's only comfortable in center field. I don't know. Like, I'm not a coach, but if scouts were this high on him leading up to his career, and then he comes into Major League Baseball and moves to left field at the big league, or he had a lot of left field reps in the minors, right?
Domínguez?
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
he had enough. I again didn't watch all the minor league games. I was just going on. This is why prospect evaluation is problematic and tough, because you don't have the time to watch all of the double A and the high A games, and you're going off based on what the reporters and the scouts are telling you. And they all seem to be impressed with Jasson Domínguez's defense, and either they were wrong, which is quite possible because scouts are wrong very often, or Jasson Domínguez it's a trend with the rest of Yankees prospects. They can't make it to AAA, or they can't make it in the big leagues. And that's where the developmental road ends for them. And maybe that's Domínguez. Like, I don't know. I hope not. But the question now becomes, what do you do? What do you do if Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker come in next year? One of those guys is getting traded for pitching. That's where the theoretical partial spending would go. You're going to spend on a positional guy, and then you're going to trade. You're going to spend on an extra positional guy. Then you're going to trade from that positional surplus to acquire pitching. Cool. Fine. I'm not against it. It's not a bad plan, but Jasson Domínguez's stock is low. He got benched for essentially the last 6 weeks of the season. He was irrelevant. He did not play in the postseason. He was used as a pinch runner twice, I think. Spencer Jones, good player, big strikeout problems. Yankees missed the boat to trade him because everybody saw the year that he had with the strikeouts and with the struggling, and I know he rebounded, but those big the prospect development needs to be incredibly linear for another team, or untapped for another team to be like, yeah, we'll take him and we'll give you a good piece for that. We like what we see. Spencer Jones is a very imperfect prospect. Does he have the potential to be a great player? Yeah. The tools are there. It's all about, again, taking it to the next level and harnessing all of that. But I don't know what value is here. Maybe you package them together and that's more value. It could be. But then who are you going after? You're going to go after Freddy Peralta? Think the Brewers are going to take that deal? I just don't know. So again, this is the frustrating part. You have two imperfect assets to sell. You traded a top 10 prospect at the deadline for Jake Bird. And now the box. We're back to the box conversation. That's it.
The box. Jake Bird is in the bullpen on opening day. Remember that. Don't forget it.
Yeah.
The more, again, you can be optimistic if you want to, Like, if people want to hear that, okay, Grisham is back automatically, he's on the payroll, he's there already. They're hot after Bellinger, and they're the current favorites. If you want to hear that optimistically, and you want to combine that with the Devin Williams talks that indicate that the Yankees and Devin Williams camp are touching base, like, let's say the Yankees bring back all three. The logical part of your brain says now they'll spend anything. There's no stopping them. Like, they'll sign Tatsuya Imai. They'll sign Okamoto. What's to stop them at this point? They've already committed like $50 million or more, probably more this year, to 3 players to add to their payroll. So why stop here? But Hal Steinbrenner does not usually operate with logic and reason. He usually does cut himself off at points when it would be logical to continue spending. Again, they bring in Giancarlo Stanton, and then they decrease payroll. That was a massive issue. You bring in Stanton should be the most go-for-it move in the playbook, but instead they pull back. It takes this really weird year in 2019 to vault them back into contention where they get 99th percentile outcomes from Mike Tauchman and Gio Urshela and all these strange pieces, and Mike Ford, like outliers, but miracles happen. That's the only reason the Yankees don't get much markedly worse. But yeah, logic and reason would dictate that they would, if they're making a play for Williams and they're the favorites for Bellinger, that they would go crazy, but they don't usually operate on logic and reason. If you made me guess right now what's more likely, like an Imai signing, or they trade Jones or Dominguez or both for a controllable starting pitcher and a controllable reliever, my bet would be on the second thing. And I do think we would be bummed out by the relief pitcher return here, because it does smell like a classic Brian Cashman trading for years of control. Like, if Jason Domínguez went to Colorado for Seth Halverson, would anybody's jaw be on the floor? People would try to justify it too. People would be telling you, no, Halverson has like an elite spin rate. He's yet to be unlocked. When you look at the numbers, and just like, I don't need to look at the numbers. The reality is that the Yankees had this otherworldly prospect who was supposed to be Mickey Mantle, and Mike Trout rolled into one. And then after barely using him, and after he had Tommy John surgery and lost a year, they traded him for a Rockies setup man. Like, that's all I need to know. Sometimes, like, I wish that we're fighting in the comments about Luis Arraez. It's tough because we'll just never see eye to eye on this. I wish Luis Arraez was a great fit. I wish he had the defensive versatility and the on-base skills to make his batting average valuable. Like, I would love if we had a contact-first leadoff hitter on this team.
Yeah.
It fit in perfectly. But the narrative, like, I don't see it with Arraez. I wish I did. Like, the Domínguez in trade for... It's a narrative that dies for me. If you trade Domínguez for a controllable reliever, it would be great to have a controllable reliever. It would be great to use one of your fungible assets and blocked assets for a controllable reliever. But when you put the names in, you put Domínguez in, there's so much stigma on Jasson Domínguez, and you put whoever the controllable reliever, I don't care who it is, whether they're coming from the Rockies, whether there's some untapped potential coming from someone else, like, unless it's somebody who's proven it 2 years in a row, like Cade Smith in Cleveland, then I just can't get on board. And still, I just cannot get on board with trading Domínguez or trading Jones for a relief pitcher of any kind. I understand.
No, that'd be crazy.
I can't do it.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Glad you love our channel. Look, we're not arguing with Luis Arraez. Could be a fit. We don't know. But then you want to talk about postseason performance over his last 3 postseason series with the Padres. He's 9 for 52 or 9 for 42. I'm sorry.
I don't know anything, but I just know that he hits the ball softer than basically anybody. And right now, last year was his worst year in a long time. He's 28, turning 29. 32-year-old Luis Arraez, I think, is a very bad player. I don't know. I can't guarantee you that. But if I'm forecasting, that's what I think is. It's more likely in 2 years he's batting 260 with no power, and you're like, damn, this doesn't make any sense, then it is likely that he's hitting 330 for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 biggest postseason series he had with the Padres, he batted 182 in both of them, and he was supposed to be a table setter or a guy who was terrorizing. He has 2 postseason walks in 70 plate appearances. Again, I know walks are not everything that you want, but to have that few and then also to not hit, like, yeah, he doesn't strike out either. That's great, but if we're talking Giancarlo Stanton's 2025 was impeachable and he needs to be off the team, then this is awful. I mean, the Padres offense died in Chicago, and Luis Arraez was a big reason why. He was supposed to be somebody getting on base and putting the ball in play and setting the table for Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, and he didn't do that. So I just, again, don't know You picture it like this, right? The Padres, and this might be a hot take, the Padres probably last year and the year before had more talent in, probably more so last year because Juan Soto was on the Yankees in 2024.
Yeah,
This past season, the Padres probably had more talent in their lineup than the Yankees did. When you factor in Volpe, when you factor in Austin Wells, when you factor in the third base conundrum where it was DJ LeMahieu and Ryan McMahon. So like Oswaldo Cabrera, who's I think a good player, but like not the greatest. Ben Rice wasn't fully like that. You had Paul Goldschmidt playing there. So like, 4 out of the 9 players in the lineup weren't very good. And I know that that's a reality sometimes. The Padres had a pretty balanced lineup with a lot of talented players. And if anything, it was probably comparable to what the Yankees had. I know Aaron Judge inflates that a little bit because he's incredible. But if Arraez took a dip, and if Arraez's play took a giant dip with a similarly talented Padres lineup, then how are we so sure that he's going to be that good with the Yankees, who have not been able to elevate anybody that they brought in with a different profile and fit them into the lineup? It just hasn't worked. So I don't know. I mean, we love DJ too, man. Like that was depressing. That was really hard for a lot of people to deal with. And it got very uncomfortable at the points where we had to say, this guy's got to get DFA'd. Like it can't happen anymore because it's borderline, like it's a mean thing to say. We're content creators and that man is a professional athlete and that's his career. It sucks to say it, but like we're covering the team and we're watching it every night and we're just, you can't watch it anymore. And you ignore some of the noise because people get frustrated after, you go 0 for 12 and all of a sudden you need to get cut and traded. But DJ struggles went on for years and he signed that contract extension, was never the same, wasn't even close. He had one good year after that when he won the utility gold glove and that was it. But I agree. They waited a year and a half too long, probably.
I mean, he didn't play a single playoff game under his extension, right? After 2020. So, I mean, that tells you all you need to know. He broke down. He was not available when he was available. He was not the same guy. It was depressing. I own the jersey. I loved him.
I mean,
2019 DJ is probably the best, most surprising short-term acquisition they've ever brought in this modern era. We're talking post-dynasty. Like, obviously, everyone they brought in during the dynasty was better. But, like, the modern Yankees, 2019 LeMahieu, it's one of the smartest things and most interesting. People were talking about him like, what's a contact bat going to do outside of Coors Field? And the answer was level up and suddenly hit for massive power and pair that with a 340 average. Hey, look, maybe there's a world where Luis Arraez does that too. I cannot rule it out. I can't say it's not going to happen. I just fear it's more likely than not. It's more likely you get the version that looks like bad LeMahieu if you bring him in. But again, he could make me look like a total fool. I am willing to bend on that. It is possible.
That would be great. It's about priorities, right? The Yankees' priority was to limit the AAV hit. So they gave a 31-year-old a 6-year contract. A 31-year-old who was a utility defender a 6-year contract. Just on the surface, it's bad business. Like for that fit. I understand DJ LeMahieu was literally invaluable. 8.6 WAR. 8.6 WAR. 2019, 2020, and remember 2020 was a shortened season. He racked up 3 WAR in 50 games, like absolutely unreal. But you had to know the time was coming for him, especially as he entered his mid-30s, and it came faster. But yeah, I think maybe the argument we're having is like Jasson Domínguez should just be the guy doing that. And it seems like if they're going with their plan right now, he's going to be iced out in some capacity, and he's not going to be able to do that unless they want to say, Jasson Domínguez is going to mostly DH and Giancarlo Stanton's going to get significant rest days and we're going to save him for the postseason. I don't know. Again, back to the box.
We're stuck in a box. That's the whole theme of the episode, is that we are stuck in a box. And hey, maybe the Yankees anticipated Trent Grisham saying yes to that $22 million offer. On the surface, I will say that like all of my group chats and the people who aren't like crunching the numbers they're just diehard fans. They're not like in the weeds doing payroll stuff. As soon as Trent Grisham was offered $22 million, all my group chats were like, he's gonna take it. And I was like, I don't know, you guys. People don't really take the qualifying offer. It's kind of fake. It's just something you give, and then the player denies it, and then they go out in free agency. It's just sort of it's paperwork. And they were just, sometimes you got to listen to the fans, because the fans read Yankees offered Trent Grisham $22 million for 1 year, and they know what Trent Grisham's done over his career, and they know there's a lockout coming. So let's say you take a 3-year deal at $16 million a season. If there's a chance you might lose a big chunk of that in 2027, like, you just don't know, and you'll presumably make it back in 2028. But saying, hey, do you want 16 mil this year, 16 mil next year, but we might lose next year? Or do you just want 22 million this year, and you know how you can fit in this Yankees lineup, and you know how how you can use the ballpark to your advantage, and Aaron Judge, the captain of the team, wants you back? Yeah, logically that player is probably going to say, extra $6 million sounds nice this year. I think I'll take it, rather than trying to talk to the Cincinnati Reds or figure out, is there a mid-market team that wants to pay me on a 3-year deal? Like, sometimes you gotta turn off the overcomputation part of your brain and just listen to the logic and reason. The fans knew. The fans were like, Trent Grisham is going to take $22 million. And I don't know if the Yankees, you have to think,
because we have no money. We're like, 22 million. We're taking
here it is. Here's $22 million for you. And it's like, great. Yeah, I will take that. You have to think that, because, we want to operate in good faith. You have to think that the Yankees saw that coming as a possibility, and you have to think that the Yankees have a plan. I can't sit here and say the Yankees have no plan. They got blindsided. This is embarrassing. But when you put, your emotional brain, you turn that up a little bit, you turn down the logical part of your brain, it does kind of feel like the Yankees got played a little bit, because it's a foolish amount of money, given that they're still interested in Cody Bellinger. The continued interest in Cody Bellinger and their favored status actually makes me think they got played more than Grisham returning does on its own. Because after Grisham came back, if they admitted, okay, we're no longer that interested in Cody Bellinger, then it would compute to me as they knew he might come back. They knew they wanted one of the two. And once they got the one, they decided to pivot off the second one and go search for Bregman and go pay Imai, go pay Okamoto, and reshape their roster otherwise. The fact that they want both makes me feel like, oh God, okay, our Bellinger was our plan A, but now we have the other guy. So let's just keep Bellinger as our plan. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. We want them both. What can I say? We want them both. If you have something creative to do with Jones and Dominguez, then show it to me. I'm open. I'll be sad if they rip the Band-Aid off and trade either of those two guys. Yeah. I'll be sad. But if you're going to do it, then show me something creative.
Like I said, I want something interesting to be done. Even if you bring Bellinger back, like, got to do something else. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the trades look like. I don't know what the market's going to. We're going to find out a lot. Going to find out a lot in the next few couple weeks. The trade market's going to materialize. A lot more rumors are going to come out. Maybe some dudes who were not previously available become available, and that opens opportunities for the Yankees. That's, again, why the qualifying offer was a weird thing, because it's like the Yankees don't really know what's there. I mean, Brian Cashman says it every offseason. He's like, oh, yeah, we're waiting for the market to materialize. We're going to wait and see what happens. And it's like, so you're going to jump the gun and give this guy $22 million when you don't know what the rest of the market's going to look like? Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Maybe they got played. Maybe they didn't. Until next time, they say.
We'll know more, we think. The non-tender deadline is tomorrow night, so the Yankees are going to probably lose some relievers, and probably some new names are going to come onto the free agent market that cheap teams don't want to pay $3.6 million. The free agent pool is going to increase in size. Maybe we'll get something clever and creative to talk about. But in my opinion, the offseason officially began on Tuesday late night. Not with the Rule 5 draft protections and the roster shuffling and the housekeeping, but when the Orioles traded Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward. And it was just announced at 10:45 in a press release on the Orioles Twitter account. Like, that was kind of a holy shit trade. 1 year, 36 homer Taylor Ward is a weird thing for the Orioles to give up Rodriguez unless his medicals are just absolutely cooked. They don't have pitching anyway. It feels like you'd want to take as many bites of the apple as you could. And they're saying, never mind, we're good. We actually don't want to bite that apple, which is a weird call, especially when your outfield is already Dylan Beaver is one of your top prospects. Colton Cowser, Rookie of the Year, runner-up 2024. Tyler O'Neill, he just signed to a big deal. Enrique Bradfield, more prospects on the way. And now you've got Taylor Ward, good player, 1 year of Taylor Ward. I mean, how close are the Orioles? Are they going to sign Framber Valdez? Are they going to get expensive starting pitchers they believe in? You have to, otherwise this makes really no sense. But that is sort of the seismic shockwave offseason move we've been waiting for, that just you blink and there it is, and you're like, oh, now the offseason's begun. So now anything can happen. Trades on the table, surprise signings on the table, like the qualifying offer, the math is done, the housekeeping is finished tomorrow evening, the final bit of just like pre-offseason housekeeping. But the Orioles and Angels coming together on that trade tells me the offseason is here. And so you could see Thanksgiving week, you can see the Yankees do something fun. Winter meetings, you're going to see the Yankees do a lot of stuff. That's 3 weeks from today. The winter meetings will be over. It's the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of 3 weeks from today. So the ton of roster churn and free agency maneuvers during that period. We hope you'll stick with us. Thank you for joining us here on the Yanks Go Yard podcast. Thanks for the spirited discussion in the comments. And thank you for live viewers. If you weren't here viewing, if you're here listening on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. We're here every Monday, Thursday. But again, as the offseason heats up, you're probably going to hear from us a little bit more. So turn on those notifications. We'll let you know, that little bell will tell you when we're going live.
Ding.
Maybe we'll upload a non-live video, and maybe we'll do all sorts of fun stuff. And yes, stuff and things I also find hysterical. The Mets did not make the playoffs. And guess what? They're not getting enough shit for that.
They're really not.
Biggest collapse in MLB history. And we definitely roasted them on September 29th. But then we kind of stopped. Now we're just acting like, ooh, will they re-sign Pete Alonso? How far will David Stearns go? We're just talking. Imagine if the Yankees had done what the Mets did. They would not be having a normal offseason. People would be following them around with a sandwich board at every winter meetings, GM meetings, being like, you blew a 7-game lead to a 2-game over 500 Reds team and missed the playoffs. Like, they would never let us forget about that. But unfortunately, the Mets are sort of being able to move on. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. And again, I hope you do. Honestly, if you're going to roast us, you can. We're down for it. It comes with the territory. Yeah. Again, we appreciate the spirited comment section. We love that. I will never if you love Luis Arraez's batting average, I don't begrudge you. I wish he felt like a better fit to me. He doesn't. I wish he was. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
At Tommy's_takes. You're still not finding me, folks, and maybe it's because you're spelling out underscore. I don't know.
Did we finally figure that out now after a couple of years?
Is that the reason? I don't know. Or maybe just no one wants to fuck with me. But feel free. That's where I'm at. We are at the official Yanks Go Yard account at Yanks Go Yard FS. Like Adam said, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and head on over to yanksgoyard.com. That is where all of the written content is. It is Adam and I. It is a great team of writers. We got tons of perspective on there. A lot of smaller bits of news that you're going to need to keep up with that we are not talking about on the podcast. A lot of things happening with the Yankees, and it's all far too much to keep up with. So we appreciate you guys reading and tuning in. Have yourselves a good weekend. We'll be talking to you before Thanksgiving. We'll have one episode next week for you, priming you for the holiday. And then it'll be winter meeting season before you know it, baby. Let's go Yanks. Give me something interesting. One thing maybe this weekend. And then we can really start talking.
Yeah, just get us out of this box. Prove to me that you're not going to put the Yankees in a box. How about that? Seems inevitable. It seems pretty inevitable, but something off the books, right? Something off the wall. Give me something to react to that I'm never expecting. Because I don't want to have an offseason where I'm just like, all right, you can pencil Bellinger in a couple weeks. Devin Williams, yeah, sure, let's reunite with a guy who made our lives hell until midsummer. I liked him by the end, but yeah, sure, just pencil in everybody from last year who we already said goodbye to. No, not that. Give me something off the wall. We'll be here reacting to it when it does happen, and we'll see you again next Monday before Thanksgiving. Enjoy your holiday. If we don't see you, if you're not listening to us, please come back next week. We'd love to have you. Until then, go New York Yankees.